Hi, my name is Aman Girma. I'm 26 years old. I'm born and raised here in Seattle, Washington. My parents are Girma and Zudney. I graduated from Ballard High School, and I did my undergraduate studies at Howard University in Health Management and African Studies. And I did my graduate school work at Columbia University, Mailman School of Public Health, and received my master's in public health, concentrating in epidemiology.
And my name is Purple Tramble. I'm from Seattle, Washington, born and raised in the Central District. My parents are Michael and Robin Tramble, and I also went to Howard University and studied film and got my bachelor's, and now I'm back here in Seattle, and we're going to talk about our experience here.
Yeah, today what we're going to do is kind of speak to our experiences growing up in Seattle, attending historically black college, and how that has impacted the work that we do, the projects we work on, our work experience, and some of the things that we got going on within the community. So I can start briefly just explaining what we've done in the community. Well, in 2006, my brother, along with a bunch of people in our family, we started a basketball tournament called Hoops for Hope, to bring to light issues of youth violence and gun violence in the city of Seattle, which has been coming up as a bigger and bigger issue every year. And we had put it back on this year at Seattle Pacific University, where my younger brother Dogman is a student. And currently, what I do is I've done a lot of research in the public health field. I've worked for Rutgers University on a project called the Black Life Study, where we did research on how racism affects health outcomes, including cholesterol, diabetes, and heart disease. And I'm currently teaching at a school that I started called the Fly Up School, where we help middle school and high school students get on a career path and get into college and hopefully pursue graduate education as well. Would you like to go ahead, Purple?
So what I'm working on now in association with Langston Hughes Performing Arts Center, soon to be Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute. And what we are doing is the Eras of Black Film short film contest. Basically, I started my company back in 2008, and it's a video production company, but I also really wanted to work with the youth. Growing up in Seattle, I was a part of a lot of different programs, and so I just felt that I needed to do something to give back, because at Howard, that's what they teach us, is that we should not only just get an education, but bring whatever it is that we learn back to the community, so that the youth can achieve what we have, or even more than that. So the short film contest was created to encourage, motivate, and expose the next generation of Seattle youth filmmakers. So we don't just put them out there, but we give them the tools and show them the basics, and then just let their creativity flow, and then they can also discover Black history, and also teach the community about it. The other thing, also, the main reason why I went to Howard was because I had noticed that in the school district, they don't really teach Black history. So there might be a paragraph, or they'll mention it, but after that, there's really nothing. So
I like to piggyback off that too, simply because growing up here in Seattle, a lot of our close family friends and my parents got together, and they had like a Ethiopian class for us, just to teach us about history and culture and things like that growing up. But being a student in Seattle Public Schools from elementary all the way to high school, we didn't really get anything about African history or even Africans in America. Just it would be basically civil rights topics, and that's it, and it would usually be very brief. So when I went to Howard and I did get exposed to African history and African studies, I decided to major in African studies along with my major in health management, just so I can personally learn. And many people always say, African studies is a field where there's not a lot of job opportunities and things like that. But it was very important to me just in learning because I felt like it grew me as a person, and very much impacted the work that I do now and the work that I've done. It very much helped me in that when I came back to Seattle, I was able to expose a lot of my relatives and a lot of my friends to a lot of the things that I learned, and help them understand why it is we are in the situations that we're in. And Howard University itself has a huge stake in the Ethiopian community historically. You know, the first medical doctor to graduate with a MD in the United States of America was at Howard University in the 1930s. You know, so it's been a long time. And then while doing my master's at Columbia, I lived in the neighborhood of Harlem, where in 1808 Ethiopian merchants, along with African American Christians, started the Abyssinian Baptist Church, which was the first black church in Harlem, you know, and it was started by Ethiopians in the 1800s. So I think the history is a lot of times lost, and even in Seattle, you know, a lot of people don't know the history of Ethiopians in Seattle, and the fact that at the World's Fair in 1962, when they opened the Space Needle, the opening address was given by Haile Selassie. So, and the first flag on top of the Space Needle was the Ethiopian flag. So, a lot of these facts are a lot of times lost on our community, and they can be used to empower our youth, and that's kind of what we try to do at the Fly Up School, is really empower the youth and give them skills and tools and things that they can use to further themselves in getting into figuring out what exactly it is that they want to do. And when you expose them to a lot of these different things and let them know that there's been Ethiopian doctors in America since the 1930s, it makes it more real to them that they can actually be a doctor, because people have been doing that, you know, for almost 100 years in this country. So I believe that foundation, that Black College Foundation, really benefited me personally, and it was a life-changing and eye-opening experience. And not only did it benefit me, I feel like it benefited my family and my community, in that I've become a better asset to our community simply because I have a strong foundation in who I am and who we are and why we're here and things like that, so we can easily discover what our purpose is and the things we're passionate about, instead of just being dictated to us by what we see on TV and what.
Because we don't see us on TV, dude.
And
when we see
ourselves on TV, it's usually in specific careers, you know, and it's predominantly entertainment careers or athletic careers, and you know, in regular sitcoms and TV shows, rarely do you see. First of all, rarely do you see Ethiopians. You know, there are Black people a lot of times in entertainment, but they're usually limited to certain roles and in certain careers in TV shows. You know, they rarely do you see a whole lot of successful and well-educated Black people on TV, and that's something that my life was changed when I went to Howard, because I went to a school full of 10,000 Black college students. You know, so that's impactful in that I know people that are doctors now. I know people that are lawyers now.
Yeah, the network.
Accounting. Yeah. I know accountants. I know people in almost every field working for some of the best organizations in America. I know a lot of people that have started their own companies and are successful entrepreneurs, you know, artists and filmmakers and things like that. And I mean, I met Purple at Howard, and we're both from Seattle, you know. And we actually had a strong contingent of Seattleites at Howard. We had a Washington State Club with about 50 members, you know, just so people know, there's more Black males from Seattle Public Schools that attend Howard University right now than there is Black males that attend Seattle Public Schools at the University of Washington, which is a much bigger institution, you know, 35,000 undergrads compared to 8,000 undergrads, you know. So it's actually easier for kids from our community to go all the way to Washington, D.C. to go to college than even some of these institutions that they live around, you know.
And they should. I would encourage the youth to, you know, I mean, you might want to end up staying over there, but I mean, it's funny how your unique path works, or God works in mysterious ways, to where I even ended up back here, and I was not planning on it, but it's like there's a greater joy when you're able to do something you're passionate about and then give back and help that next, you know, like lend the hand or throw the rope back. There's this one movie, Drop Squad, that I love, where he says, you know, you have to, when you get over the wall, remember to throw that rope back. And, that's what I feel like we're doing. And I'm very proud of that, that I can, or that we can create opportunities for the youth to, get over that wall.
Definitely. And I think, a lot of people always say, that you have to lead by example. So I think I think one thing that Howard University definitely teaches us is that we carry the mantle literally for generations, of former Howard graduates. And that's why, as alumni of that school, we have an alumni list that includes some of the most powerful people in the world, actually. Many African presidents graduated from Howard. Thurgood Marshall was a law professor at Howard, and with his law students won Brown versus Board of Education to integrate the public schools in America, and that was done by law students at Howard University. Not even official lawyers yet, people that hadn't passed the bar yet. So we have such a impactful community that we were able to soak up knowledge from. And I also believe that leading by example, it gets deeper than that. I feel like it really you have to live it. So we try to live exemplary. What I'm saying? If you live an exemplary life, then you lead just naturally, just organically.
Right.
And in the way you move around. And that educational foundation was the basis for a lot of the research that I did. In studying health and studying African issues. I was offered the opportunity to do research in South Africa, where I went actually during the World Cup in 2010, the first World Cup in Africa. I took a trip to Cape Town and did research at the University of Cape Town on tuberculosis and the social conditions that create tuberculosis. I've completed a documentary about my research, and it will be available for viewing shortly, but we have a 5-minute short of it that will be aired after our interview. And I think the fact that we have these different connections that we're able to make in our minds about who we are and the different places that we come from greatly impacts the projects that we work on now, and being involved in the community and being able to be leaders in our community and be people that the youth can look up to and say, they're doing things that are interesting, and they're doing things that interest me and connect to me and who I am, And I really believe that that's the most impactful way, because when we do things that are interesting, it creates curiosity. And once the kids are curious, then really it's endless. The opportunities are endless, once you actually have a passion for something. So
that's just what we're trying to do, is ignite the passion within,
Yeah.
What, is that like a acronym? Ignite the passion within. I'm always coming up with those.
Yeah, I think it's good for our community, just the fact that both of us were able to receive the best education available in this country, and then be able to come back to our community and have projects and programming that we offer youth to where they can, climb the ladder similar to the way we did, and
have support, because man, whew.
Yeah, it's tough. And we also know that even the positions that we're both in now is not necessarily only due to hard work and only due to us being intelligent or the best at who we are. A lot of it has to do with the circumstance, and many people that came from our similar situations, who might have been smarter than us, worked harder than us, weren't offered the opportunities that we were able to receive.
Right.
And so we feel like we cherish the opportunity to have gone to Howard University and have that degree and be on an alumni list that includes such amazing
Felicia Rashad,
such amazing people who are impactful in this country, to this day,
Yeah. I just feel like things just need to be exposed, and why, who better to do it than the youth, because it's like killing two birds with one stone. Not only do they get the knowledge, they also are, we're also going to have the ceremony in February where we're going to show 12 films, and then there'll be a first, second, and third place winner. So everyone wins pretty much. And then the first place winner will actually get a Canon PowerShot HD camera. It's not the one with the removable lens, but it's like it's a really nice camera. So, and then also they'll get a chance to submit their film to the Langston Hughes African American Film Festival. So as far as going to Howard, I actually went and then came back to Seattle the first time, then left again, and then came back. But now it's different because, you know, I also have a sister who's dealing with this rare disease, and so that actually is another area that my company Purple Reels is going to work with a nonprofit, Purple Hearts, which is, you know, we're still working on that, making that making that final. But basically, just like the bad things that happen in life are not necessarily bad. It's like you can use those things to like ignite the passion within to create things to help other people who are going through that similar thing. Like, it's all about, I guess, pay it forward is a good way to explain it. And so, yeah, I feel like going to a historically black college, I've heard a lot of what people have said about that. And, like, it's not really, I made the choice because, I mean, I just felt empty in regards to my history. And if you don't know who you are, Sankofa, then, you know, if you don't know your past, you don't know really where you're going. So
I'd like to piggyback off that and just say, you know, I think what we were able to gain as far as self-knowledge and what we were able to gain as far as self-knowledge creates self-worth, you know.
Yes.
And when you have self-worth, you know, you can realize your potential and have a vision of what you can be in the future, you know. And if you know that people that went to your same school have become Supreme Court justices, you know, at a time where there was no Supreme Court justices, if you know that people from your school graduated from your college are CEOs, CFOs in companies that never had any black executives, you know, it gives you that knowledge and that understanding that you can do the impossible, you know. What other people have never done before is things that students from Howard have been doing since the beginning, since 1867 when the school was created, you know. People from Howard University have been doing the impossible ever since then, and I think that kind of gives us the drive and the motivation to know that, you know, some of these tasks that we take on, you know, people look at us and say, why would you try to change these things? Like, you can't do it, it's too much, like you have to work within the system and things. You know, people say things like that all the time simply because they're overly logical, you know, and they're looking at it like it's impossible. And having the educational foundation that I do, I truly believe that those impossible tasks are literally just things on a checklist that we can knock out, and we can do 5 impossible things every year, you know. And so me and Purple, we've been working on to teach students film through my school and her program as a collaboration, so we can get students to know who they are themselves and be able to come up with a media representation of who they are and the things they want to change and the places they want to go and all these different things, and just have something that they can keep forever, you know, and publish their own films, you know, and it's truly impactful.
It's like a life skill that they can use, and they can create their own companies and make money and not have to, you know, worry about certain things, you know.
Yeah, you know, they can escape the similar pathways that society has
already set up for them to fail.
Exactly. They're trying to be real
really,
at an early age, you know. Because, I mean, both of us went to public schools, you know, where most people that graduated from our public schools didn't, you know, go on to college or receive degrees like us, you know. And it's like knowing that and knowing that the education that we received was entirely poor compared to the educations received by the people that we met when we got to college, just knowing that we were entirely unprepared for college due to our Seattle public school education. gives us the knowledge that we have to come back and, you know, be a part of an alternative education system. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to create for these kids, is just an alternative education system so that they can actually get educated, you know, and just going to school is not an education, you know, and even going to college does not necessarily equal getting knowledge, you know. It's about what you learn and what you do.
And you learn about yourself.
Yeah, and it's about
and that's why I was saying I encourage students to go get out of here and experience the world, because there's so much else out there. Like, I actually got a chance to do, there's another Howard alum who has a program, Creative Minds in Cannes, that I went with them, 40 other students from the United States, and I think some people from, now they're moving into other countries, but went to the Cannes Film Festival, and then my short film was there at the short film corner. But not only that, like, they taught us like everything we need to know as far as networking. I didn't know then, but now I'm like, I got it, you know. It's just like talking to people. But that's just another example of what, you know, Howard people do, you know. And we're trying to just, that's not just saying that just Howard people do that, but that's what we're doing, bringing it back here so that they'll be prepared early.
Yeah, and I think it's that's another, you touched on another aspect of our education, is that we went to a college too where there was the biggest club on campus was the African Student Association, you know. So that's the biggest club on campus, you know. So you're talking about thousands of students from Africa. Then we have Caribbean Student Association, which is the second biggest, you know. So you're talking about thousands of students from the Caribbean, and then then on top of that, you know, we have a state club from almost every state. So we have Louisiana Club, Texas Club, New York Club, Washington State Club. We have the Chicago People's Club. We have, you know, clubs that, you know, from almost every state, Illinois, Michigan, from everywhere, you know, Georgia, Florida. So that also gives you that that world focus and that global focus like, it's deeper than just, you know, where you're going to a school where they say this is global studies or international studies, but everybody in the class is the same. You know, we went to places where we studied international studies and had globally focused classes where the student body was global themselves, you know, so we could actually ask people and get a real life knowledge. It's not theoretical. It's not just something written in a book. It's something that we experienced and can really have a firm grasp, because we can call these people. We can, you know, we have people that we know in many countries in Africa, in all over the Caribbean, South America, in Europe. You know, I have friends from Howard that, you know, work in Japan now, work in all over the world, went to London School of Economics, or all over the place, you know, and I think that really impacted the way I viewed the world, and just making the world smaller for me, and making everybody's life in this world worth the same to me, you know, because I think in America a lot of people have this, you know, American-centric focus to where the life of an American is worth much more than the life of even a Mexican.
They will let you know.
Or even more than the life of a Canadian, you know. But when you have that true global focus, you can really understand why the life of somebody from Sierra Leone is worth just the same as somebody from Detroit, you know. And I think that really that really centers your education base, you know, and gives you a good foundation to move out into the world. All right, so lastly, I'd like to kind of talk about what the program that I run now, and it's called the Fly Up School, and you can check us out at theflyu.com, THEFLYU.com. And what we do is we run programs out of the local Boys and Girls Clubs. We teach classes like SAT and ACT prep. We do a history class. We have a music program and a film program. And we're actually starting up different programs as well, as far as like dance and medical careers and engineering careers and all these different things that the students have come to us and told us that they want, and we've reached out and found instructors for these different programs. And I think it's important because American education is not focused on a career path. You know, you kind of go through high school and everybody gets the same education, and you go through college, and a lot of people, you know, they just study whatever it is, major in whatever it is they want to do without ever knowing exactly what it is that they want to do. And that simply comes from the fact that they didn't try anything, you know. And our goal is to make them try everything just so that they know, you know, and whatever they've done, they'll know whether they like it or not. And once they figure that out, then we can get them on a career path early, and that itself is powerful because they can move through their educational career and their and then on to their actual work career, you know, in a much smoother transition, you know, without lag time between jobs and things like that. Like we're trying to get them experience even as high school students, if in the medical careers or in engineering, or if they're into music, then give them experience in audio production or music video production or audio engineering, and even in film. Like we make the students from every one of our programs do short films for us, and just 4 or 5 minute films, even about themselves, because they need to learn about how to present themselves and how to give an adequate presentation, you know, and we're teaching them like professional skills. And I really feel like that's powerful just because of my background, and my educational background, and my work experience background, you know, and the struggles that I've been through, even with looking for employment and things like that, just because a lot of us don't have solid work experience through our education. Now, I had a multitude of internships and things like that, and different jobs that I've had, so I understand that I've struggled a lot less than other people, but issues still arise when we're trying to move through this world, you know, and we have to kind of teach the youngsters too about that. And that's why we do a history class, a mandatory history class, so they can understand that, you know, they will encounter issues dealing with issues of racism or issues of classism, or predominantly in a country like America where everything is race-based. You know, there's a lot of issues that kids will encounter, but our goal is to give them skills so that they are 5-10 times better than the other candidates, you know, so that they can even at least get an interview. Because a lot of times, even if you're 10 times better than other candidates, you know, you won't get that interview simply because of your race. And I know in our community, Ethiopian community, that's a greatly overlooked issue, because Ethiopians immigrate here and they have no foundation in American history. They don't know really what happened. They don't know the blood that was shed and all the struggles that people went through just so that Ethiopians have the ability to come here and go to public school and have housing and be able to ride the bus and do everything that it is that they need to do, have health care and transportation and everything. You know, I think a lot of that's missing. So we try to give the students a focus on that, because a lot of times their parents are not able to give them that understanding and teach them why they're struggling like that, you know, and why the teachers might not necessarily treat them as if they're intelligent, even if they are at the head of the class, you know.
Okay, you can check out everything online at purplereelsproductions.com. You'll find everything there. PURPLEREELS as in film reels, purplereelsproductions.com with an S.
All right, we'd like to thank you guys for sharing this time with us as we kind of shared our stories and our experiences and the current things that we're working on. We appreciate it, and you can...
We appreciate it.
You can contact both of us at our through our specific websites, purplereelsproductions.com and theflyu.com.
Oh.
And, you know, shout out Howard University, the Bison, you know. We are
the red and blue make purple. That's why I went to Howard. No,
she's kind of crazy, but you know, and we do represent Seattle well. You know what I'm saying? And the hat is for King County, just to let you know. And we look forward to, if you guys contact us, we would look forward to meeting with you and discussing how we can help youth in our community get to where they need to get to. And thanks so much. You have a wonderful day.
All right.